Okay, here's a quick tutorial on this Gorenje washer and dryer. I'll start with the washer. I added labels just based off of the names of things in the manual. Under the labels are like pictograms, which are pretty meaningless, so that's why I labeled it. So wash is where I put my soap. You don't need to fill it all the way to this blue thing. You just put a bit in there, it's fine. I tend to put non-bleach or non-chlorine based bleach in the softening area. Maybe pre-wash is better. Seems to work either way. And yeah, so to get going, I like the cotton wash type in general. So I tend to go to that. Over here we see the time estimate for the current setting. So this one's saying it would be 2 hours and 18 minutes. These are not super accurate estimates. But if you wanted to speed it up, for instance, might go to a quick wash, which just uses more water, so it's less efficient. So that took off a ton of time. If I turn that off, it goes up quite a bit, but this has a lot to do with the heat. So this thing has a heater in it, and it can get the water temperature up to whatever. So if you press this button, it will cycle through the options. So for here, for instance, this is just use the temperature coming off of the line. So here it's the shortest. And if you put that up to the hottest, so 95 Celsius, so it's pretty much boiling, that takes a while. So you know, if you add other things like an extra rinse, then that takes longer, but you can do the quick wash mode, which again cuts off some time. And then when you're ready to go, you just press and hold this button. So I'll do that, but I'm going to cancel this, which is an improper kind of shutdown. Not a big deal, but it means that the door will stay latched, and I'll show you how to override that. But yeah, you just open it up and obviously throw your stuff in. Apparently, according to the store that sold us this, they say that it actually washes better with more stuff in there, and that's the friction between the fabric that gets stuff really clean. I don't do that because putting a ton of stuff in this machine, I think just takes longer to dry. So I do like half full, and that seems to be good. But anyway, so to get going, just press and hold, and so there, the machine takes off. Clicked, which means the door's locked, and so it starts loading up with water, and that's it. You just walk away. So in this case, I don't want to actually do a wash, so well, I could pause it, I guess, with this, but I'm just going to turn it off actually. So now it's off, but the door's locked because I was in the middle of a load. Not a big deal. You just open this panel and pull on this latch here, and that overrides the door. So now you can get back in there if you need to. This thing is a filter, so it prevents it from getting your line filled with stuff. It's a pretty aggressive filter. Like it will clog if you get like some receipts or something going through. I don't know, like heavy lint can clog that up and cause the machine to stop. And then what you got to do is clean that out, and you can just come up here and do like a rinse only cycle or something, whatever you decide. To get back in business. One last thing I want to show is there's this start delay. So if you want it to start up later, you know, here I just added 2 hours to when it starts. So you might, you know, prime this to begin like before you wake up or something, and have it be kind of done about the time you're actually getting up. So that's that. This machine's very similar, but it's the dryer. So this is a condenser, meaning it does not use venting. It sounds kind of like a fridge when it runs, which I guess I could show. So on this one, I also like the cotton option. So go to that, Cotton Ultra. So as it's a condenser that's not vented, it takes a long time. The benefit being that you don't need venting. And I guess the sales pitch that we liked was that dryer vents, I guess, if they're not cleaned, can be a really risky thing for house fires. So you don't really have that risk when you don't have the vent, but it is slow. It takes a long time. So I like to put it on the cotton over here, and then also, I don't really know what this sun thing stands for, but if I tap that and hit level 3, it seems to be like maximally dry. So it takes a long time, but it does actually work. So yeah, you can prime it up there. When the machine's on, it actually is illuminated in there. Like if I turn off the lights, you can see that it'll light up your load, which is kind of cool. Before every run, you want to open this up and scratch off any lint just to clean it's got a nice big mesh for that, so that's good. If you choose not to hook up the water drain that comes off of this, there's like a hose on the back that you can plug into a thing behind this, and it'll fill this thing up with water instead of draining it out. So really all this thing needs to work is power. But if you have the washer, you're going to have a drain. So you might as well not bother carting this around. You can just hook up the drain with your washer. That's what I did. But whatever, your choice. So this has the same option for startup delay. So if you want to hit the delay here, you just add some time so it'll start in the middle of the night or whatever you want. I also find that like a minute on this or an hour on this does not quite match actual reality. So it's a little bit, time moves a little fast on this. So if you say start in an hour, you might find that it starts, in like 40 minutes or something. It's kind of weird, but whatever, it gives you delay. Some other options that you might like are, these are timed dries. So here I put it to 90 and it went to an hour and a half, so 90 minutes. So that's not using any kind of like moisture sensor, it just stops. Whereas the Cotton Ultra, as much as it gives a time estimate, this is using some kind of sensor to decide if it's dry. So if the stuff in there is actually not that wet, then it'll, it should be less than that, but it's going to depend on what you have. So yeah, that's kind of the gist on that. If I hit go, you'll hear it fire up. So it's got a bit of a, I don't know if it's obvious on the video, but it's got a little bit of a refrigerator kind of noise to it. But that's fine. It's not extraordinarily loud. It's maybe even quiet, but I mean, these are big machines, so they still make noise. So that's the gist on that. I'll just turn it off. Last thing, every so often there's a filter in here that you just open this up and you clean out the filter. So if it's taking a really long time to dry, which can happen, or more like if it's not getting your clothes dry, you just need to clean that filter. There we go. So that's it. That's the whole deal. They're pretty good machines if you're like 2 people, but we're a family with 5 people, and they're not fast enough for us. Unfortunately, we have too much laundry for them, but they're allegedly really gentle on clothes. The claim being that they apparently your clothes last a lot longer, I guess, with these. I haven't really had a problem either way. They seem pretty good. I really, really like the sterilizing feature where you get it up to 95 Celsius. I think that's really cool. I've never really seen that anywhere. And this thing only requires cold water in because it has its own thermostat and heater. They're allegedly quite eco-friendly. But I mean, using my brain, I just can reason that, well, if it's got to heat this water up to 95 Celsius, that's going to take a ton of power. So I think it would only really be eco-friendly, really, if you kept it at like cold. So your call. But you have that option. You can make whatever decision you like. So that's the whole shebang on these. I hope they go to an awesome home that, that takes full advantage of what they have to offer. Cheers.